Everyone, I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Monday, May 1st. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councillor King. Councillor DeBona. Councillor Franz. Councillor Harris. Councillor Hughes. Councillor LaFarge. Councillor Yang. Councillor Palmucci. Chairman Croall.
Present.
You get a quorum.
We indeed have a quorum. For the record, this is the open meeting law, which is pursuant to the open meeting law. Any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. So we're here this evening to basically continue the conversation around the proposed $27 million park bond to be paid for by hotel motel tax. We're here, we're going to cover a few topics. Just for the group, we have a hard stop at 7:30 to go into our regular council meeting, and I believe the park director is here and is going to walk us through his breakdown of the project. So welcome, the park director. The floor is yours.
Good evening, councilors. If we could, I'm assuming you all have the 4 or 5 page memo and all the spreadsheets and so forth. First of all, last time we met, you met, we talked about the access to the dog park. And I think it was Councillor Finn wanted a little bit more information on just how we got to the number that we put in there for $500,000 for access. So on the last page of spreadsheets, we can just touch briefly on the dog park driveway. It's the access road is listed at $500,000 and the dog park itself at $250,000, of which the $250,000 is a grant. So what's in the hotel motel tax request here tonight is the $500,000 for the driveway. It's a little bit difficult pricing out a driveway that hasn't been designed yet. So using my best guess, I put numbers to it. And I think that the one item here that could make a big difference up or down is that, in my mind, we need a retaining wall about 300 feet long at the back of sidewalk there on Quarry Street in order to be able to fill behind the retaining wall to start getting up that very steep hill. So there's money in there for a retaining wall. There's money in there for the design and engineering. We have site grading that would be moving around the existing earth material there. We would have to have, with a 1,100-foot driveway, we would have to have some type of drainage on it. My expectation would be that since there are 2 big retainage basins there, that we just dump the water and add the water into the retainage basins. And then for 1,100 feet, granite curbing on both sides, gravel base, pave it, and on the top of the wall, a guardrail to keep people from driving off the edge in the middle of winter. So that's the $500,000 detailed for the.
As much as I appreciate the response, it's actually Councillor Palmucci that raised the specific issue. So I just figured that.
Thank you.
Straighten that out. But anyway.
The other question that was asked, and I'm pretty sure you asked it, was the access through Avalon. We are looking into that. We have one engineering company that did some site review up there, and they're looking through their paperwork, and I think we've made contact with one of the attorneys who worked on the closing up there, and so we're going to meet with him and see just what the whether or not we can use their property being cleared. I did find that they had some type of an agreement that they would have yes or no on what uses went onto the city's 22 acres, but the access is still up in the air.
Thank you for looking into that. I appreciate that. Obviously, if we can save some money on having the access come through where a road already exists, and
right.
We really just have to grade and put in a small parking lot for the dog park, the cost would be significantly less, and that's
significant.
And again, just to reiterate, and is Ty and Bond looking into it? Are they the?
Yes.
Okay, because they were actually the city's mitigation consultants for the Avalon project, and I spoke to him after I raised that with you. I spoke to the representative who was here, who said, yeah, I recall there being a discussion about that at the time of the permit. So I wasn't alone in thinking that there was some sort of agreement from Avalon that the city could have access there. So look forward to getting kind of a final answer on that, but I appreciate you looking into it.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Otherwise, let's just start right at the top of the list and go right down through the citywide park improvements. This is not everything that we could or would do. It's pretty much determined by where the money stopped. So we took pretty much all 52 parks in the city. Quite frankly, we divided them up by all the different wards they're in and looked at them ward by ward. We looked at within each ward and within the city as a whole on what our priorities would be as a park department, what we felt needed the most work or the most attention or was the most benefit to us and consequently to the citizens of Quincy. Starting right with Brill Field. Brill Field, could use other things, but at this point right now, the guardrail between the city parking lot and the field has started to rot away and there's sections missing. So right off the bat, we want to put a new guardrail there to keep people from driving on the field. The Broadmeadows School, there are 2 tennis and 2 basketball courts there. The tennis courts are used for phys ed and by people, playing recreationally. 2 basketball courts are on the end of the parking lot, and they're used by the kids at recess. These courts are they've been plowed over the years. The fences are damaged, so we have in here complete renovation of these 4 courts. That would be new paving, new fencing, new color coding, and and guardrail to protect the courts from the parking lot. The next item is the Faxon Field track. Like to restrike the track before the markings get any fainter. The soils in the field still hold some water after a heavy rain. We'd like to put some soil amendments into that field to make them drain, to make the soil drain better. The underground electric from the electric service to the start-finish line for the timing system was never installed under the original contract. We didn't have money for that, so we would install that underground electric now. And Mr. Hennessy has been very adamant about his need for a building to store his track equipment in and a small office. So that would get us at $200,000, approximately 1,000 square feet of garage storage, so that he could put his mats in the winter, he could put his hurdles in, his starting blocks, all that stuff. Right now he's using 2 storage containers down there.
Paul, what's the typical sequence of restriping that track? I know it gets a lot of use. I've been down there a few times myself and noticed that, it is being used. Just kind of curious from a maintenance perspective, what's the upkeep?
What we would expect it,
just
how long we expect it to last. Right now, it's certainly visible. You can see the lines, you can see the, all of the markings. So in that sense, it's not an absolute must. I just have a thing about bright lines, and so I would normally expect 8 to 10 years out of the lines, and I think we're at probably 4 or 5 years now. It's not a big ticket item, but I think it would just make the track pop, not only for the users, but people driving by would look over there and see the brighter lines, and it would just make the whole complex much more attractive.
And the thought with the lighting, obviously, is to increase the usability. For the underground electric.
The underground electric is more for track infrastructure. For example, at the start-finish line, we do not have the timing system that goes with a starting gun. We have conduit there between the start line and the finish line. We have the boxes there to plug into at the finish line, but we don't have the electricity coming in from Russell Park that would need to run the length of the track.
So that was never physically installed?
Never physically installed. We didn't have the money when we built the track.
They ran the conduit?
Yes, we ran the conduit.
Mm-hmm. And you were actually involved with that when you were in the field, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
The next item is Labrecque Field, the parking lot improvements. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Councillor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just looking for the bathrooms. Can you elaborate a little bit? Will those be permanent bathrooms, or what kind of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they would. The bathrooms, office, and storage space would be in that tract. It would be probably, almost certainly, a cement block building.
Okay. Is it similar to the pageant field one, or?
Bigger.
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 Okay. And a female and a male?
The field building is 20 by 40.
Okay.
This building would be 25 by 40. No, it would be 40 by 50. 2,000 square feet. My number's wrong. It's 1,000 square feet at $200 a square foot. So it would be 20 by 50, 30 by 35, 40 by 25, something along that, rough dimension, 1,000 square feet. And most of it would be, like I said, just bare storage for the small office, for the track coaches, and then a men's and ladies' room.
And the plumbing is involved in that too as well? The
Yes.
plumbing, everything?
Yes, everything. That would be the complete building.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Is that the same manufacturer that you've used down at Fall River?
No.
All right.
We would stick build this.
You stick build it?
Yeah, we'd hire a mason and have him come in and stick build it.
Not to derail the conversation, but how is that bathroom down at Fall River coming? Has it been manufactured?
The contractor the builder is screaming to get it out of his yard, but we don't dare drive it across the field because it weighs so much. So we've been just waiting for the ground to be hard enough to drive 100,000 pounds over across the field to get to that location. Because it's too big.
No, I understand.
It's
It's pretty safe to say that will not happen this year, right? Because it's starting to get warmer. So, right?
I would have guessed that it would have happened by now, but we've had,
No, you can't control the weather. Understood. Of course.
2 decent days, just as it starts to dry out, it rains again. So it's typical New England spring, but, usually we get some better weather.
I only ask because, as you know, folks ask me.
Yes.
So when I get asked that question, if you were me, your response would be possibly next year.
Possibly by the end of May.
By the end of May.
I would hope.
Okay.
I would hope.
Provided the ground.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Worst
I
case
mean,
scenario.
we drove heavy equipment in there last spring, big excavators that would have weighed about what the building did. We drove the tractor trailers right across the field and had no problem at all. But it was, last year was a dry spring and a dry summer, so it really wasn't a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I won't belabor the point. You know how important that project has been, right? So anyways, any further questions on facts and track for Ms. Franz before we move forward? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to Labrecque Field. Again, there's a kind of an if with this one is if the city purchases it, the parking lot, then we would expect to be able to do some improvements, repave it, square it off, make it hold more cars, just make it more conducive to efficient parking. Russell Park, this is specifically the high school tennis courts at Quincy High School. New fences and tennis nets. The pavement repairs would be, somewhat limited, cracks and crack sealing and so forth. And then we put two new light poles in out in the parking lot that, would have to be cleaned up and repaved. The wooden bleachers there are ancient, and rather than just putting new boards on them, we just as soon buy new aluminum state-of-the-art bleachers like we have at a lot of our other fields. Flynn Playground, that's the little playground on South Street, sort of near Dan Ramondi's house. That is an undersized court. It's a 40 by 60 court, and normally a basketball court would be 50 by 84, so that the you can't shoot from the corner outside the three-point line because the three-point line goes out of bounds somewhere 6 feet from the corner. This was a court that in 1996, when we did the last court repairs, all we did was put new color coating on it. We just repainted it. We didn't do any new paving. We put color coating on the asphalt and put a coat of white paint on the backboards, and that was it. So this would be a complete renovation, rip it out, haul the asphalt away, fine grade and pave it, color coat and stripe it, put a fence up to keep the ball from rolling into the street.
Point out too, and I think that your overview of Flynn Playground kind of speaks to the level of specificity that was taken, with these parks. I mean, Flynn is certainly a playground that's overlooked, but if you go down there on a weekend day and sometimes in the evening, I mean, there's a lot of folks down there utilizing the court.
Right.
And, much to your observation that I'm aware of, there hasn't been investment down at that field in quite some time. And having kind of played a little bit there myself, I noticed that I see the fencing in here, which is imperative because, when that ball goes rolling, I mean, you're chasing it for 15 yards.
Yes.
Right? So.
And it's a fairly busy street. So
fairly busy street, but it's a really large piece of land.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty big playground as far as like a pocket park, for lack of a better word, would go. So, yeah, it was glad to see that on there.
Ray Dunn Field for Riverfield. This money would complete the master plan that we've been working away at. As of right now, we have the ball diamond moved. We're in process for getting the new play structure ordered. We will have the basketball court paved. And what's left in this request would be all the fencing and paving that would clean up the entire outside of the park, so that we'd be on literally every side of the park. We'd be taking people who are parking in the street and either parallel parking them on the edge of the park or turning them and having them angle park into the park so that they're no longer out in the street.
Particular project, obviously, because I've been so tied to it for seems like an eternity.
Yes.
There's a lot of moving parts, and I think that for the at-home viewer particularly, the thought was always to address the ancillary effects sometimes that happen when when your home abuts a park, right? And I think that, to your point, sort of re-engineering and reintroducing a new parking element is certainly something, particularly given the very narrow streets down there, that would be welcome. And the clerk to my right had just mentioned what's pickleball, and I know that isn't always. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm not the one to talk about it because I don't understand it myself, but it's the hot new craze, and especially for seniors, okay? It's somewhat like platform tennis in that it's played with pretty much a dead ball. It doesn't bounce very much. It's really like a wiffle ball, and it's played with a paddle, a solid wood paddle, not a stringed racket. And the court is quite a bit smaller. I think it's 30 by 40, so that if you can think of the size of a basketball court, 3 pickleball courts will fit inside a basketball court playing crossways. So if one starts under one basket, one starts under the other basket, and then one straddles the center line, there's room for 3 pickleball courts, and they play with a relatively low net. I think it's a 2-foot net or maybe 30 inches, but it's not a very high net. You don't have to chase the ball a lot is part of the appeal of it. Even if you smash it, it doesn't go very far, so you don't have to have 10 or 12 foot high fences. And Mr. Welch started pickleball in the Senior Olympics, I believe, just 2 years ago, and he already has 90 players signed up. And we were talking to the head of the rec department down in Plymouth the other day, and he has a league started, a pickleball league, with something like 15 teams in it already. So there's a demand there, and it seems like a good spot. You know, with the clubhouse there, there's lots of exercise classes and so forth happening in there. So it's kind of like a secondary senior center, as well as the Ward 2 Civic Center. So, you know, that could be the hot pickleball location in Quincy pretty quickly.
And I think if I could just briefly elaborate on that, I think you touched on exactly, you know, what I was hoping. As you know, and we spoke about it, you know, I had the privilege of representing a very mature population in Ward 2, and we've seen the unbridled success that's taken place down in Councillor Harris's district with the Kennedy Center, and, you know, in talks with the mayor over the last couple of years, you know, I've really been trying to work and advocate for the implementation of a, you know, formalized satellite senior center.
Right.
So it would give folks living up in the Quincy Point section, sections of Ward 1 and sections of Ward 4, access or entry point to programming that's a little more conveniently located in their neighborhoods. So when I see the pickleball, it sounds like it's starting to trend in that direction. And, you know, outside of this, I've been kind of working with some private partnerships to hopefully advance the actual building. So keep our fingers crossed, because anytime, as you know, you get into a construction project with an older building, you know, there's a lot of things hidden behind the walls that otherwise can't be anticipated. So the hope is to continue the conversation, continue the momentum, and ideally, you know, deliver home a satellite senior center for folks, you know, living up in that section of town. And obviously, I'm delighted to hear, you know, the mayor's a advocate and proponent of such a site. So, you know, it's been great working with people, and, you know, nice to see the progress. So I get fired up. So.
Great. On the top of the next page, Mound Street Beach, design and permit the rowing facility. That design and permitting process has already been started with some money that was left over from another contract and is pushing forward. We've met with a gentleman from Row USA, or USA Rowing, I guess, and the Canadian gentleman who goes all over the country designing rowing houses, boating houses, facilities, and docks and piers and all that type of stuff. And along with the permitting process for getting more docks out into the river, we're working very hard on that right now. That's a very active process going forward. Bishop Field, we have upgrades to 7 courts down there. We have 5 tennis courts, a street hockey court, and a basketball court. Right at this moment, we're working on all new sports lighting that is being paid for with CPC funding, and then the actual improvements to the courts themselves and new planting along the sidewalk and some drainage over in the playground, which stays wet after a rain. Those would all be projects that would improve the usability and the aesthetics of Bishop Field. I think if you look at almost any of our courts, what's happened is that over the 21 or 22 years since they were installed, that just the incidental banging against the fence as you hit a ball and then keep running until you use the fence to stop you, or at some of the baseball fields, the coaches play soft toss against the fence, and you'd be surprised after you hit a baseball into a steel fence about 50 times how much that starts to bow out. And the other thing is we've used black vinyl coated fences on almost all of our courts. We just find that it's a much more attractive appearance. And as that vinyl coating ages and gets more brittle, it starts to crack off. So you'll see a pipe that is supposed to be black, and it's got a big gap in the middle of it where the coating is gone, and the silver galvanizing comes through it. So it is somewhat of an aesthetic thing, but I think that the way our courts generally look, that it's wise to put the money into the fencing as well as into the color coding and striping. Next item is the Wollaston School.
Paul, Councillor Yang.
Just a quick question on the Bishop Field fences. You were talking about how the fences have been warped because, of balls hanging up against them and whatnot. How old are the fences that are up there right now?
We redid all the tennis courts in the city in 1996.
Okay. And
So 21 years.
Okay, and if we put up the new fences, the quality of the old fences, despite how long they've been there, just from them being warped, is the metal, to the point that they can't be reshaped, or is it not cost effective? Can they not be done? I'm just thinking too, because if we replace them and that constantly is a problem, and maybe in a shorter period of time we find that that's the case again. Have you looked at the option of potentially just going in and repairing that section of the fence, or has that not been considered?
It's pretty much the whole fence. And what it is, I believe it's actually that the metal has stretched. The wire in the metal, the metal wire, by bouncing, hitting, that the metal actually stretches so that you might say, well, just push it back. Push it back so it's straight up and down. It just doesn't work. It pops the other direction. And so it's almost impossible. The only thing that I would do at this point that I would have done 21 years ago if we had the money would be to put another pipe rail halfway up in the area that's most damaged by people bumping against it and so forth, so that you have extra support instead of just, the fences are 10 feet. You have a bottom rail, a mid rail, and a top rail. Mm-hmm. So there's 5 feet of unsupported fence with 5 feet above it. And what I've allowed for this time is to add another rail to support that and just to absorb some of that pressure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We buy the heaviest gauge fence available, the heaviest wire. No, I just
explored all options before we went to this angle.
Yeah, it can't be fixed.
Yeah.
It has to be replaced.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wollaston School. We have a single basketball court there that the kids use for recess. And from what I understand from Mr. Welch is they have quite a crowd down there in the evenings as well. So this is another place where the basketball court was originally built on the parking lot. It's just color coding on the parking lot. And there's no guardrail to protect it from people driving on it. So what I would do would be, in this case, dig it all up, pave it, put a guardrail across the long side and a little bit up to keep people from driving on it, put new hoops color code it, and then the last item here is kind of a pet project of mine, in that for any of you who knew the parking lot at the Wollaston School, there used to be a line of massive oak trees down the sidewalk right along the parking lot, and through attrition over the years, those have all been taken down. What I would like to do here is put all new oak trees inside the fence, so that they can't be hit by snow plows, they can't be salted on, they would be actually set into the parking lot with raised granite curb around them, much as we've done in some of the traffic islands, so that the sand and salt and so forth, as it goes down on the area that's driven on, can't jump the curb and kill the trees again. So I think that's just a really worthwhile project, restoring that parking lot. Next item is Flaherty Playground. That's across the street from O'Rourke Playground. It's just a small playground with a small play structure in it, and it's sort of one multi-purpose court with basketball playing sideways and street hockey playing lengthwise. What happened here in 1996 was that we put the cheapest, the least expensive Band-Aid fix on this court that we could. We crack sealed it, covered all the cracks with a fabric, and then color coded everything, and that probably lasted 10 years, but we did not put down a new coat of pavement. We didn't grind up the old pavement and start over again. So in some sense, this was a Band-Aid approach in 96, again, because the money only went so far, and so that at this point, that surface is in tough shape, and I take the whole court out, take out the fence, take out the pavement, repave it, put new fence in, and give them a brand new court. Next item is Quarry Hills baseball lighting. As you know, up on Raschuti Drive, the Quarry Hills baseball, diamonds, and soccer field are all on a landfill, so that in order to put the lights in there, they have to penetrate the landfill cap, which has proved to be challenging permit-wise, and will be somewhat challenging construction method-wise. So the lights themselves have been paid for by the CPC. All the design and permit work up until this point has been paid for by Quincy Youth Baseball. And now we're at the point where we need to put the lights up, dig into the cap, put the bases in, pour concrete around them, put the lights up, and then Local 103 has agreed to do the labor for the light, the conduit and light installation itself.
That just sounds like an amazing, evolution of folks sort of working together to advance.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I mean, kudos to everyone that rallied around. I know Quincy Youth Baseball.
Hung in there. Totally hung in there.
Raising private money and just, doing everything for the kids. I just, listening to you say that, I'm like, wow, that's just an example of a really good community project.
Right.
For sure. So, I just wanted to point that out. Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul, just to elaborate a little bit on that, we appropriated that CPC funding last year.
Yes.
And there's 3 out of the 4 fields are still going to get those lights, or how's it set up out there? What are we looking to do?
As far as I know, it's lighting 2 of the 4 fields.
2 of the 4 fields, okay.
That's the way I understand it.
Okay. Because I think originally we had 3 of the 4 fields were going to get taken care of, and it would give lighting for that 4th field to use at certain times of the night. So we're 2?
As far as I know.
As far as you know, okay.
Yes. It's 8 light, I know it's 8 light poles.
Okay.
It would normally be 2 fields.
Is it by the Quarry Hills soccer field side, or is it one of them going to be on the adjacent, but next to the parking lot?
I believe.
Parking lot of the baseball, Quarry Hills baseballs, and then there's the soccer field that's on the left-hand side that has 2 fields on that side. Is it going to be able to light all 4 fields for the 2 lightings?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so one of them.
8 poles to light 2 fields.
2 fields, okay.
Properly,
right.
With the light levels that you need to play night baseball.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next item is Beechwood Knoll School, install a new basketball court. We've been speaking to the gym phys ed teacher down there. Right now the basketball court surface is so old and pitted and cracked, it wouldn't even make sense to put stripes on the parking lot. And with all the cars that they have in there, half the time there are cars parked on the parking lot. So what we would like to do is put a complete new basketball court off the parking lot in the grass with new hoops, new color coding, new pavement and everything. The next item is Adams Walk. We have some masonry repairs to do to the fountain. We would like to replace the lights that are there with LED lights, and we would also like to put walk lights on the sides of all those walkways going through the park. Part of it would be for nighttime safety. Part of it would be for looks driving by. There would be the acorn type lights, I think, just something that would look nice and colonial. The next item is Coletta Field. That's the baseball diamond behind the Adams Walk fountain. The one complaint about that field, well, we get 2 complaints about that field. One, that it's too short, it's too easy to hit a home run. The other is that foul balls over the backstop or foul balls down the third base line, it's basically kiss the ball goodbye because you'll never find it in the woods. So, in this request, we would like to move the backstop back to give us more room to the home run fence. We'd like to put some netting above and to the sides of the backstop so that the balls that go back over the backstop would get caught. With fencing along third base, and then add irrigation. And then I think we were going to do some new lighting at the tennis courts with the $70,000. The next item is the Coke Park and Recreation Complex site improvements. The planting there was fairly old, and bunches of it had started dying out. So last fall we pulled all of the shrubbery out from around the building. We'd like to replace that shrubbery. The concrete pad out in the middle of the lawn that was the floor of the old mess hall when it was a Nike site is no longer needed. So we would like to dig that up and replace it with a loam and seed. We are desperate for more parking in the front of the building. So we have a plan in mind to add about 8 more parking spaces in front of the building and add some more lighting to the entry road into the park complex. We'd like to put irrigation in the big lawn area and in front of the building. We have some electrical improvements that would actually be part of the lighting issue. And then fence and gate improvements for security. Next item is Kavanaugh Field. This is a basketball court that the Boston Celtics donated to the city 18 years ago, maybe. And it gets just so much use down there that all the paint is worn off it. We'd basically like to repaint it with our own colors, not with the Celtics logo, and just upgrade that so that it's a better court. We have a tremendous number of kids down there, from kids just shooting around in the morning right through the evening hours, as well as some play from the Atlantic Middle School. Next item is Welcome Young Field. That is the women's softball field in North Quincy. It's tired again. The courts there get used constantly. We have 2 basketball courts and 2 tennis courts. Basketball gets used a lot, the tennis not much, partly because they have some big cracks in them, but partly because that doesn't seem to be a tennis area. So we'd like to completely redo those 4 courts and irrigate the women's softball diamond. Last page. Nickerson Beach, Squaw Rock Park, we need some new fences there, some trail improvement, and we've been talking to the councilor about just what exactly to do with Nickerson Beach, whether it add sand, improve the boat ramp, just general improvements to the beach and to the park in general.
Councillor Harris.
Thanks, Paul, and thank you. That day that we were here in the rain, looking at Nickerson Beach, you kind of mentioned about the ramp. So did we discuss it that we weren't going to put another ramp there? We were just going to maybe put a set of stairs. Am I correct? Because we couldn't really fix it.
I don't think Al has talked to me about what was finally decided there. He bounced some things off of me and asked me if we were replacing the fences and some other things,
right.
But
because the ramp doesn't fit anymore there. We just need to season that beach up and clean it up really. It's a gem that's being utilized.
The ramp has been
it's a hazard for people
to where some people want it, some people don't.
Right. It's a hazard though to people just trying to get onto the beach. Yeah. So I mean, it'd be nice if we could, fix that up there. Not repair the ramp, just maybe put a set of stairs there so people could go to the beach.
Right.
That'd be great. I think that's what the consensus in the area is. So thank you. Thanks for what you're doing. Thank you.
Councilor Palmucci.
A couple quick questions on the totality of it. What's the timeline for the work? All the work that's contemplated here.
This work, some of it's fairly straightforward, and so it could be done in this coming fiscal year, even this coming calendar year that we're in. Things like fences and so forth are just, a matter of putting out a fence bid, so many lineal feet of 10-foot high fence, things like that. Then you get into projects like the dog park or especially Kincaid Park, which we haven't got to yet, but that's a major design project, and then there would be, putting the whole project out to bid, so that, there's various types of projects here, from the simplest things that the park department could do ourselves, other things that would be done fairly quickly with bids, and then other things that would require, the 2-inch thick construction documents, blueprints, and so forth.
So we're talking about essentially $12 million worth of work, right? Take out the $15 million from the Hancock-Adams Green, right?
If you break it down into the individual park projects, through you, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. If you break it down to the individual park projects, it's a little bit over $6 million worth.
6.1 million, right.
On the citywide. What we did was break it out into projects that were $1 million or less, and include them in the broader list of projects. The rest of the breakdown is the design and permitting for Merrymount Park, the acquisitions piece, of course, Hancock-Adams Green.
So I guess what my question is what if most of the projects from the 6.1 million is a 1-year-ish timeline, what's the long-term projection for the park? So what we're not getting here is an assessment of what the parks are going to need for infrastructure improvements over the next 5 years, right? This is everything that you would need to be done today that can be implemented over the next year, as opposed to, well, we know, so just grabbing something out of the air here, we have some, new fences, new tennis nets, replace old wooden bleachers at Russell Park, for instance. So if we're not doing that at other parks, at some point in the next 5 years, it needs to be done.
This was framed, sure, Council. This was framed as the priority list as of right now. I'm sure working with the park department, we can flesh that out a little bit more to give you better detail.
Because it would, I guess, from my thinking, I'd like to see the short-term money, the 6.1 million, which is short-term, compared against the long-term needs that we have over a 5-year horizon, to see how those two play into each other, right? You understand what I'm saying? In terms of forecasting what the needs for the infrastructure, because we're talking capital. Although it's not in the capital plan, this is essentially a capital program for the parks, right? So I'd like to see what the capital needs would be over a longer horizon to put this $6.1 million in perspective in terms of the overall need, right? Thank you. Thank you.
Paul, coming down the home stretch, obviously it's 7:27. We're going to need a couple of minutes to sort of transition. We're going to pick this up on the 15th, okay? Which councils will talk through scheduling and meetings, but I just want to allow folks to sort of transition, if you will, and then we'll have the budget presentation in 3 minutes. But certainly appreciate your commentary here this evening, and look forward to more on the 15th. With that, I'll call this meeting of the Finance Committee adjourned at 7:28. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome. It is Monday, May 1st, and it is 7:30 here in the Great Hall. Madam Clerk, if you would begin by calling the roll of members.
Councillor Kane. Councillor Croall. Councillor DeBona. Councillor Finn. Councillor Harris. Councillor LaForest. Councillor Liang. Councillor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Here.
9 members. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. you'll all stand, please, and join me in a moment of silence for our men and women in uniform serving here and abroad. And please turn and face our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would read the open meeting law, please.
Pursuant of the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived by those present, and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. As many, if not everyone here this evening knows, the City of Quincy lost a legend in John Gillis last week. And, of course, John was the Quincy City Clerk for many years prior to Joe Shea and also to our own City Clerk, Nicole Crispo, and also Norfolk County Commissioner. And John's life was full of family, friends, but most assuredly public service. And it is tonight that we wish as a council to honor him by dedicating this meeting to him and asking all of those to think of him and his family this evening. To honor John in the appropriate way, we've asked our former city clerk, Joe Shea, and now Norfolk County Commissioner, Joe Shea, to come and speak to us tonight and just share a little bit about the person that John was. So, Mr. Commissioner, if you would please come to the podium.
Thank you, Madam President. This is kind of a treat here. I get to stand at the new podium. I'm just so used to the old one. I hope you haven't thrown it away. I think it's historic. I was a little caught off guard when you and Councilor Pamucci requested me to be here, but I'm really happy to be here. I know that you have a packed agenda, and we've just had a whirlwind 3 or 4 days with the passing of John Gillis. I've taken the liberty to pass out a little biographical sketch. Most of you already know it. I have also included a list of all of the people that he actually served with, both as councilors and the clerk as an employee of the council, and mayors that he's worked with. It doesn't include people sitting here, but after John retired in 1992, he really didn't retire, so he really worked with everyone. But a couple of interesting notes. There's been 12 city clerks. Mrs. Crispo is the 12th city clerk. John served a little over 35 years as clerk and 2 as assistant, and he's certainly in the last 5 clerks served 103 years, and he served 37 of them. So his record will probably never be matched. And while we're sitting here at the council, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it certainly since the inception of the city, no one has attended as many city council meetings as John M. Gillis. Now, I know a lot of people, including Gene Reardon, attended a lot of council meetings, but John had a habit of always making every council meeting and every extra meeting, and it just, went with the territory, and he warned me when I came aboard that the hardest part of the job was being clerk of the city council. Just a little extra. But I was fortunate enough to eulogize John in church today, and I talked about John being from the greatest generation, which he was. He was born in Quincy. He was educated in the Quincy public schools. He was a parishioner of St. John's Church his whole life. He left Quincy High School, where he was an outstanding athlete, and went into World War II before he graduated as a U.S. Marine. He served in the South Pacific. He came home, and he went 1 year at their academy to receive his high school diploma. But he told me the real reason he went to Thayer Academy was to play football and to sharpen his skills. From there, he went 1 year to Boston College, and then switched from Boston College and went to Northeastern, where he completed his degree. He graduated from Northeastern. He was also captain of the football team. I made comment that his coach was not happy at Northeastern because in his senior year he left the football team to join the Quincy Fire Department before he graduated from college. And as he said, well, I needed a job, so I went on the fire department. So my point being, a member of the greatest generation, college educated in the 40s, which a lot of people weren't. Yet when John became city clerk, from the day he became city clerk, it's like he invented the job. His practicalness, his common sense, his personality, and his love for the city made him what he was. So all of those folks that you see there he worked with, like everyone, he had his favorites, but he had very few that he weren't in good stead with him, and I can't think of anyone that wasn't, because he was a consummate professional. We all have John Gillis stories, and I'm not going to go into them here today. I did go into a few of them today, but there are hundreds of John Gillis stories. They're all based on what's best for the city of Quincy, what's best for the people, and he had the biggest heart of any man I ever knew. And he wanted the right thing done, and he wanted people taken care of, and he wanted less fortunate people to get the best break they could. We joked about being local, all politics is local. He joked about Quincy Point. I'm sure he favored people from Quincy Point over other people, but he favored everyone. Everyone got treated well. I mean, there was no real pecking order with John. He just treated the same. He treated people from the top to the bottom the same. And I'll tell you the greatest thing personally that he taught me is he taught me to treat people with respect and treat people the way you want to be treated yourself. And it just kept flowing and flowing all of those years. When he retired, he went to Norfolk County as a commissioner. I'm fortunate enough, I succeeded him. I succeeded him as commissioner because he took care of me. They loved him there too. He treated everyone with such great respect there. In 1992, he told Bill Draco and I he was going there for 4 years. He didn't leave until 2015. He did that job naturally too. I was with him last week. He did slow down a little. He stopped driving a couple of years ago, as you all know. But he was still getting out, still getting to McKay's, getting to church when he could, but it was a struggle. And 4 weeks ago, he went into rehab because he had fallen at 1000 Southern Artery, and every day I went there, he'd say, "You're my friend, get me out of here." I had a feeling, number one, I couldn't get him out. Number two, I had a feeling I didn't know if he was ever going to come out, but he did not suffer. He went quickly last week, and he's fortunate, and we're so very, very happy that he went in the manner in which he did, because his heart, everything was going good, and he didn't want to linger around, but he was the greatest man I ever met, and just a great Quincy guy, and you all knew it. He missed everyone. He would ask me every day, "What's the mayor doing? What's Councilor so-and-so doing? What's Nicole doing? What's Joe Newton doing?" And I'd have to give him a report every day of what everyone was doing. But I'm so very, very fortunate, and I appreciate a moment to say hello. I don't want to take a lot of time. I know you've got a big schedule, and God knows, as a former department head, and I see so many of my former colleagues here, it is budget time, and it's a very important time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioner Shea. Thank you very much. And at this time, I'd just like to open it up briefly to some of my council colleagues who would like to say just a few words. Councilor Shea.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Commissioner Shea. Those fine words. It's tough to even put in words how important John Gillis was to the city and the institution. he was in and of himself. But he was also particularly important to this body specifically, and what Joe had said, probably no one's attended more council meetings. I can only imagine how many hours he spent here listening to councilors drone on and suffer through some of the meetings that happened in our history. But personally, I think it's fitting that we pay tribute to him tonight. Personally, for me, I feel tremendously lucky to have known John. Luckier still to have been able to have the benefit of his friendship and his advice. Back when the alumni was open, we'd go there on a Wednesday night and I'd buy him a beer and would unlock all of his advice. As long as you kept buying the beers, he kept giving the advice. Once in a while, he'd tell me something positive he thought I had done or said. More often than not, he'd give me grief about the things I'd done or said, and I'd sit there and listen, and he'd tell me all of the old stories of things that happened back in the day. He was, sharp as a tack to the day he died. I mean, we'd all be lucky to have the brain power that he had at 90. We'd be lucky to have it today. But I'd love to just sit with him and listen. And for those who serve with me now, you know how hard it is for me to keep my mouth shut and just listen. But the stories that he had of the old days were something else. Stories about, at their core, all about helping people, about getting positive things done, about making a call here, making a call there, connecting people together, but always at the end of it, it was about helping people and putting a good guy in a job and having everybody come out better off in the end. And some of his stories so politically incorrect, very entertaining, but so very politically incorrect. I would never repeat them for fear of someone overhearing them. But those were the good old days when things got done in a certain way. Again, always to help people, but he was just such a phenomenal guy. It's hard to pay tribute to someone who's touched so many people in a positive way, who's had such an impact on the city and the county for that matter. Someone whose life in and of itself was a tribute to the service of others. He was a class act all around, as a husband, a father, a grandfather, a veteran, a friend, and a public servant his whole life. He loved this city and this body, the city council. And it's fitting tonight that I think we show our love back to John Gillis. He'll certainly be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Gillis was very influential in my political career. Before I got involved in politics, I knew him through my wife that worked with his daughter over at Harvard Vanguard across the street here. And when I started to get involved in politics in my school committee run a few years ago, he was over at 1000 Southern Artery. He says, "You are a Quincy Point kid, and I've watched you over the years, and the wisdom that Councillor Palmucci kind of talked about, that wisdom of knowledge that he would give me about hard work and about not sitting back on your laurels." And, I look at this list of what his impact was on the city, what his impact was on other people. And the last few years being over at McKay's, I would run, almost every other time I would run into Joe Shea and Mr. Gillis and Kevin. It would be the three of them. They were the three musketeers. They were there all the time. And I'm gonna miss running into you guys and seeing you guys with John in there having breakfast. Words can't describe. They don't make him like him anymore. I mean, it's a different generation. We were talking about that at the wake last night at the Common Market today when we had lunch. But my condolences go out to the family. I know them very well. And just to see everybody together and to remember the good times, remember the good things that he did and the legacy that he put on the city. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Councillor DeBona. Yes, Councillor Finn.
Again, it's very difficult for me because actually I was not able to attend many of these events in memory of John, unfortunately. But the one point I think everybody should really realize, whether you're a politician or not, you know, that really wasn't what made John most uniquely John. My first encounter ever with City Hall, and just before he was leaving in '92, I had my little son at that time. He wasn't even close to a year old, and I was just absolutely amazed because he didn't know me from Adam, but my wife and I were there. Next thing I know, he was bouncing this baby all around City Hall, carrying him and asking us all kinds of questions and happy and smiling. And I think I've never forgotten that particular experience. And I think that's what made him so unique and special. It wasn't the politics of it, although he was, again, as many have indicated, willing to give advice. It's just he was just such a nice person to everybody, and it didn't matter who you were. And so again, he's lived a great, long life. I know our most recent discussions were all around St. Bonaventure's University, which he made a connection. I think it's one of his great-grandchildren is actually attending St. Bonaventure's. But again, just a very, very unique person who represents not just the best of that greatest generation, but I think the best of our community and city. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Echo some of the comments that were shared here this evening. How do you articulate the impact of an icon? It's the amount of folks that he touched is just it's incredible, and obviously representing the Quincy Point area. When I think of John Gillis, I think about a guy who just, unconditionally helped everyone. And, when you get out there and you engage and you knock doors and you talk to people throughout the community, they talk about, John Gillis and how he was, instrumental in whatever the issue was that was going on with their family. John was just a highly regarded public servant, and that was it. I mean, his love for the city and his unconditional willingness to just go out of his way is like exemplary, and I just think about like what the job is, being of service to other people. I mean, the guy was just completely above and beyond, and I know Commissioner Shea had mentioned it, just his institutional memory was remarkable. And even like the short term, every time I'd see him, how's your wife, how's your baby, how's this, how's that, and it was just like, wow, and he would do that to hundreds of other people, but he always made you feel like, you were the only person in the room, and always miss, when you talk to him and you ask him a question, and he goes, oh sure, just an absolute love of a human being, and my condolences to the Gillis family. Quincy lost a titan, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. John Gillis has been a long-standing family friend of mine and goes back many years with my mother, and she was also part of a frequenter of McCabe. I'm pretty sure when she had dipped in some business over there. He was just a regular, and I think it was great to see him so active and staying so active in the community, and for those who would make sure to bring him out and around, and that was so important to him. Some of my best memories too, Councilor Pamucci, were at the alumni with him and his stories, and I think good thing it wasn't QATV and social media back in the Gillis era. We are very blessed to have him. At the Mass today, they talked about the more that you give, the more that you receive. We're so blessed here in the city of Quincy. John Gillis gave so much to our city, and we're very blessed for his friendship, and my thoughts and condolences to his family.
Great, thank you. Again, thank you, Commissioner Shea, for coming in this evening and just sharing. And again, we're dedicating this meeting to the memory of John Gillis and thanking him and his family for all the gifts that he gave, not only our city, but our state and certainly our community. So at this time, I would like to ask Councillor Croall to come up. I know he has a commendation.
Thank you very much, Madam President. It is, with great enthusiasm that we take a moment here and, reflect on the work of a local entrepreneur in Dan Quirk, who has recently celebrated his 40th anniversary at his Chevy dealership, but over 40 years owning and operating an automotive dealership in the city of Quincy. Which, when you really put that into perspective and think about the different economic cycles that he continued to move this business forward and grow it and be of service to the community is actually quite remarkable. Mr. Quirk was obviously one of the first folks that I met when I was newly elected. As many know, he has a rather large stake in the floor of a shipyard, and things that you may not know about Mr. Quirk is all the work that he does, to help other people, and does so quietly. Many folks are aware that he offers up, space down at the yard to the Quincy Fire Department. Has been instrumental in his Drive for a Cause program that promotes the schools throughout the city. Most recently, through a conversation that him and I had was the first private donor to the city's what will be the first all-inclusive playground. And the story just kind of goes on and on. He's a major stakeholder in the city's 4th of July celebration, Flag Day celebration. He's responsible for the finale of the fireworks. But at the core, he's a really good guy. He's a responsible business owner, and I think most importantly, he also is an individual that gives back to the community that he serves. So if you would please, join me in congratulating Mr. Quirk on his recent milestone with his business, and I would welcome you to the podium, my friend, as we.
Thank you, Fred. All right. Thank you very much. As the Quirk organization celebrates 40 years in Quincy, I've always believed in being a good corporate citizen. Quincy, with the elected officials, the people that live in Quincy, people that do business with us, and the people that live in Quincy that work at the Quirk organization, it's very easy to be a good corporate citizen. So on behalf of the Quirk companies, I really appreciate the acknowledgement, and thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Okay.
And I'll just read the commendation, and with your direction, Madam President, if we could pause for a quick photo. But it reads, in recognition of over 40 years of business in the city of Quincy, we honor your extraordinary commitment to your staff, customers, and community. Your countless acts of generosity and dedication to so many worthy civic causes through Quincy and the South Shore, including sharing spaces with the Quincy Fire Department at Florida Shipyard, supporting kids of the community with your annual Drive for a Cause program, your financial contribution to the City of Quincy's first all-inclusive playground, designated for Florida Field, as well as your sponsorship of the annual Flag Day fireworks finale. Truly shows you care for the community. You're a true friend of the City of Quincy, and we are grateful for your dedication and commitment. And with that, if we could take a brief recess, it'd be great. Thank you.
All right, we are back in session, and Madam Clerk, if you will please read the first agenda item.
Yes, Madam President. We are going to take out 1, 2, and 3, appropriations of fiscal 2018 general fund budget, appropriations of fiscal 2018 sewer enterprise budget, and fiscal 2018 water enterprise budget. And Mayor Koch is here to present.
Welcome, Mayor Koch. Very nice to see you here this evening for this annual budget presentation.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the City Council. It's great to be with you tonight. We'll make our presentation. I too want to add my words of gratitude for the gift and life of John Gillis. Amazing guy, lived a full life, incredible giver, one of my mentors in government. I arrived at City Hall in 1990. Before that, I worked out of the Kennedy Center, the old health center building. And when you went on to see John Gillis and Tommy Burke, the first floor was a haze of smoke. Tommy smoked cigarettes and John smoked cigars, even though the sign said no smoking or a city clerk. I would frequently get visitors when I became executive secretary to Jim Sheets. At least 3 times a week, people came up with John's card saying that Mr. Gillis sent me up to see you and get them a job. So I asked John, gee, John, can you kind of minimize that? Well, no, I'm not going to be the one to say no. He hated to say no because he loved people. He loved to give. He's a legend that left an incredible legacy that will carry on for a long, long time. So we thank John for his service, and we'll miss him. Along those lines, I should just point out a couple of things that happened this past week. John was a U.S. Veteran, a Marine Corps veteran, and this past weekend, Sunday, we were at the Caddy Memorial as a city honoring William Caddy, who was a Medal of Honor recipient posthumously. Montclair kid went to North and was killed in Iwo Jima, jumped on a grenade to save the lives of his comrades. And so, to Mark Connolly and the folks at the Caddies Detachment, we thank them for their work, keeping his memory alive and reminding our younger generations that there is a cost to freedom. And some of you were at the event last week at the clock tower at 2 o'clock, I guess it was, a formal program. But prior to that, we had some events related to that. And I want to thank Larry Norton and Tom Belinda for leading the effort of remembering the 48 men from Quincy who were killed serving their country in Vietnam. And my favorite part of the day really was 11 o'clock in the morning at North Quincy High School, where Captain Richard Stratton came home from Florida to see for the first time the Atrium of Honor, and to see Robert Brednow, the brother of Alan Brednow, come to speak to the students. And you could hear a pin drop in that auditorium. Captain Richard Stratton was in the POW in Vietnam War for about 6 years. He was a flyer, Navy captain. Amazing person. He spoke to the kids that day about the values he learned. That's what got him through it, the values of the city. Bob Brednow spoke of his brother, who was one of the longest serving POWs in our nation's history. Alan Brednow was a North grad, went to MIT, wanted to be an astronaut, became part of the effort, the war effort, and unfortunately lost his life when he returned home shortly afterward. So incredible day. Then of course the clock tower, the governor joined us, but having the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff with us, Quincy guy Joe Dunford, was pretty special. I know his mom and dad, Kay and Joe, are very proud of him. They're still in Merrymount. And just an amazing guy who spent an awful lot of time with everybody out there, very gracious. We're certainly proud of him. I can't imagine what goes through his head every day, keeping us safe and doing his part for world peace. And that day we saw, great Joe McConnell from Merrymount, who informed us that his son James has been nominated for his 4th star. United States Army General. He'll get his 4th star once he goes through the Senate hearings. He was so proud as a father. It's pretty amazing, 2 guys that grew up just a few blocks away from each other, leading the efforts of our military in this nation. So it's quite a weekend, truly. It's a great city we have. And I'm reminded of that every day when you go to events like that. And coming up is Memorial Day, and this year we've got Tom Kiley as our speaker. Tom Kiley was a North grad, went to Harvard University, went into the Army, was left for dead. Was shot up pretty badly and still has a disability to this day. He's very accomplished in his field, an outstanding Quincy resident who's helped a lot of folks over the years. So we look forward to Tom sharing his story come Memorial Day. And this Saturday, we've got Cleaner Greener, our 28th year. So we encourage folks out there to join us as we continue to maintain our city and make it beautiful. I get a lot of emails every day, a lot of phone calls every day. We got one today from a visitor to our city. The woman's from Salem. She was visiting the National Park Service places, and she took the time to send an email on how beautiful and clean Quincy was. She was quite impressed. So We frequently hear about the more sexy things in government and things that go on, but the basics of keeping the city clean and safe are very, very important. That was noticed by visitors, so I think that's something to note. So I want to thank you, councilors. I know that as an administration, we put a lot on your plate, a lot of initiatives before you, very worthy initiatives, and I'm grateful for your dialogue, your input, and look forward to bringing some of these things to fruition. There's some school committee members behind me tonight that have joined us. I think we have Kathy Hubley, Aubrey Sola, and Emily Lebo. I got it right. I want to thank the school committee members for the work they do each and every day for the benefit of our school system. As you know, it's an effort we all come together to work hard for the residents of the city. I want to thank our legislative delegation who work hard on local aid and Chapter 90 and other issues that affect the city. Governor Bacon and Lieutenant Governor Polito have been great partners, whether it's Mass Work grants, Gateway City grants, Seaport Economic grants, whatever it may be. They've been tremendous in sharing the wealth with this community. Deb Goldberg, our state treasurer, the school building authority, has been just amazing for our school system and our facilities. Once we get a new middle school over in Southwest Quincy built, our reimbursement in total for the schools the last several years, we've got $140 million of state money coming back to Quincy for those efforts. So we thank her and our state delegation. Congressman Lynch, he's always there as a partner on those federal issues and federal funding. We appreciate what he does for the city. Behind me are a number of department heads and department managers who give it their all each and every day. Don't look at the clock. You could see these folks in their offices nights and weekends and out at all kinds of events. And I'm grateful for their leadership. Certainly as CEO, one can't do it alone. Each of these people have a great mission, what they do, and they do it well. I'm grateful for their work. And then, of course, all our city employees, all across the city, that get it done each and every day, always doing it with a smile. I do get a lot of mail with folks that are complimenting interaction with a certain city employee, and so they work very, very hard, and we appreciate all of their efforts. As far as the budget tonight, before I get into it, I do want to express my gratitude to the Municipal Finance Department, Mark Kavanaugh, Eric Mason, my staff, Chris Walker especially, the IT staff, but certainly Chris and Eric in particular for the work they did in getting the narrative and all the numbers hopefully correct in what we're submitting tonight. I think that this budget does reflect our values as a community. I know that people weigh in different aspects or enjoy certain aspects of what we provide as services, and we hear that when we're out and about. Some people it may be schools, some people it may be libraries, some people it may be parks. And we as a government have to try to put it all together and provide the best possible solution to accommodate the needs and expectations of our residents in all those areas. I'm so proud, as you all should be, of our city in so many ways. We're a safe city. Our public safety units do an amazing job. Outstanding education system we have. Our students, my favorite night of the year relating to schools is graduation at each of our high schools. And when you see it all come together, all the effort that goes on in the life of those kids going through our system. We have a park system second to none. Our libraries are incredible. I talked about clean streets, those emergency services, not just police and fire, but in the middle of the night when that sewer backup or water break, those guys are out there dealing with that. Senior services, the Kennedy Center, I hear nothing but positive things from seniors, and particularly older folks that may have lost a spouse. And they go to that center and get a great sense of a warm welcome, and they're able to plug into some things to continue to enjoy life. So I'm grateful to all who get involved each and every day to provide the best we possibly can for the people we serve. Before I get into the budget, I just want to note that last year this body voted on the capital improvement program, including streets, and we started this past fall. That's carried over into the spring. So between last fall, this spring, and this summer, we expect to be doing about 30 streets. That's a result of the positive discussion we had in this body and your work. So I'm grateful for that. And we have more work to do with streets. And as I said, for maybe a year and a half, 2 years now, as we get through Our long-term deficit, we have one more year of that payment on the winter from hell that we experienced. We then can refocus a little bit more effort each and every year on that part of it. I think we've made tremendous progress, which Ronnie and his team on sidewalks all across the city, and I think that we've made great progress on school buildings. We have a number of initiatives before you relating to public buildings and other properties that we own and maintain. And I believe the next couple of years we'll spend more time and effort on the streets and sidewalks. So with that, let me go through the presentation. So this year's budget, as you can see on the slide, is just under $300 million. The percent increase is about 4% from last year. It accounts, if you look at the public safety, education, employee benefits, that's almost 80% of the budget. There's about $2.9 million increase for schools and $2.4 for the fire department and $1 million for the police department. If we go by category, you see the pie, if you will, up there and how it's broken out. The increases, I think, are fairly conservative. This is a budget, I think, that meets the needs of our city, the expectations, the services that we provide. There's a significant increase in the fire budget this year because of the adjustments we've made, and I believe this council has been calling for some of those adjustments for a few years, if not some of you new members. I know that some of the members that sat here before talked about some of those issues. But we were looking at, as you can see, we're looking at about $11.5 million total increase. Pretty much, if you look at the number of years we've been at this, it's pretty conservative and pretty much in line with what we've been doing. And if you do some comparisons, we're in pretty good shape. But as far as the priorities for 2018, I mentioned the fire department. There's additional personnel and additional overtime in this budget. I think for the first time in many, many, many fiscal years, this budget is fully funded. We won't have to come back to this body and look for transfers for overtime. We've enjoyed a good relationship between our fire leadership and our union. And one of the big changes here is the full-time Rescue 1 in service on a full-time basis. That's been sporadic over the years because of manpower and funding. Rescue 1 is an important piece of apparatus in the fire service, as you all know, and will serve this community quite well. Additionally, the overtime that we talked about over the years that wasn't quite there, we believe will be in good shape in the budget, and with the additional manpower, it should reduce the amount of overtime needed to cover the shift, so it should balance out. Some of you may know we also went to a 24-hour shift that's contract. And, with the 24-hour shift, as was predicted, there is less overtime used, at least for the first couple of years. So that's been something we've been looking to address, and that has been addressed. The next one is the education budget. As I mentioned, a $2.9 million increase. It continues the trend that we've seen. It provides all those programs and services that are there today. This past year, this council voted for an appropriation to add to the school budget because they lost a particular grant from the state. So that is included in this budget. We're looking at some reductions in savings in the electricity side of things, but this budget will be adequate to meet those needs and provide a little bit of cushion and flexibility for the superintendent and my colleagues on the school committee, because things change all the time. You plan, but come September, some things change, new kids come in. You have to make adjustments in staff and make those appropriate decisions. So I think this is an excellent budget for a school budget. And I'm so incredibly proud of our school system. And I very seldom, I mentioned it before at this podium, I very seldom talk about my kids because it's not about my kids. But in addition to being a chairman of the school committee, being a father of two that are about to graduate this year, I believe, I'm just so amazed and just impressed on a regular basis on the teachers and the staff, principals, coaches, guidance counselors. The job they do for our youngsters is just incredible, so we're grateful for that. I look forward to another great year for our schools. Next, this talks about some of the other new items in the budget. Historically, the police department had 5 captains. It actually went up to 6 at one point. It's been at 4 for a few years now, and I feel at the request of the chief and justified the case to me, and I believe he'll do the same here when he meets before you, the need for that position, and we've included that in the budget. We've added another a junior traffic engineer and a traffic parking, lighting, and alarm department, and I know that this was discussed by some councils looking for this. We need certainly some more help in that department as we continue to meet the challenges of our new growth and on our old traffic systems across the city. And it's a good chance to put another plug in for one of those CIP items, which is that citywide traffic study and recommendations that I think will prove very, very helpful going forward. Additionally, we're adding a commercial assessor to the assessor's office. That's been a kind of a weak area over the years, and this gentleman that we're looking at has been doing some part-time work for us. He's one of the top in the state, and I believe it will result in great dividends really to the city in so many ways. We've got an additional labor added to the park department with the additional space and parks that we've created over the years. Made the case for that. There's a new technician and other investments in our IT department. We're trying to use the Munis system software package to its max, and with that comes more training necessary, and we look forward to that. Public buildings is an additional $125,000 in that department. We have a lot of public buildings, as you know, and this will help to keep them in repair. This past year, we added an appropriation of $60,000 for the rodent control of the health department, which was at 28-year start. So we're fully funding $80,000 for that issue going forward in our health department. Our budgets that I mentioned over the last 5 years have been in that 3 to 4.5%. This falls at 4%, roughly 4%, spec over. And I guess if you looked over the last 10 years, it would be very similar ranges. There's nothing out of the ordinary in that regard. It also compares pretty well to other communities, those that have been out publicly with their budget proposals. Here's some of them here. Some of these we compare to on a regular basis, but I think we're in that conservative category, if you will, of proposed budgets in various communities around the state. Fiscal 18 continues to be one that we're going to build reserves. We've made that commitment. I know that this body has discussed the policies and procedures that we recommended. We've worked with our outside auditor, our outside financial advisors, and bond counsel on trying to get to that right balance, if you will. You can see the increase in the stabilization, which is extremely important. When I say balance, there's a balance to everything. I use that a lot in government, but from the perspective of the outside bond advisors, it's building reserves, yes, but it's also maintaining your capital assets, and that's the balance. We got to invest into our schools and our firehouse and our buildings and parks and roads, because if you're not doing that, you take a hit from the bond folks that we are not maintaining our capital assets as we should. So it's a combination of maintaining the assets as well as building the stabilization, and we've added, again, in this budget, a line in the stabilization fund. And the OPEB reserve account, which has now grown to about $1.4 million, I believe. But the stabilization grows based on our free cash as well. As you know, each year, once we establish the free cash, we come back and put some of that money away into stabilization, some into snow and ice, and some into OPEB. So that will continue going forward as well. So we are going in the right direction with our stabilization, as you can see in the trends. Our total debt this year in the line is up about $2.5 million, and some of that is due to the DIF borrowing coming too. As you know, we carry all of it in the budget, but then we have offsets. So the 6% of the total budget is well within the range that we've talked about publicly. I believe that this body has accepted. It's, as I mentioned, the DIF includes a $1.28 million, which is now coming to. we've gotten through the ban process, the short-term borrowing, and now some of this gets established for long-term borrowing. There are offsets that happen, and you're aware of those, and that's some from the hotel tax, which pays the commitment on the old park bond. Our CPA, Community Preservation Fund, is paying, as you know, a portion of the debt on this building and the Covington building, and that's extremely important. And as we've talked about, the district improvement financing, which is what this is, we've been saying, at least I've been saying for my 10th year, that the downtown has to pay for itself, that we're not going to put that burden on the average taxpayer. The reality of all of that is that the downtown has been on a burden to the average taxpayer. The garage that we had taken down was a garage built by the taxpayers of Quincy. We got state funding to remove that garage because it was in bad shape. So the new growth, both from new buildings but also new values in the downtown, contributes to that dollar amount needed to pay that debt down. And that's a commitment that certainly I've stuck by and will continue to stick by going forward. When you calculate the offsets, the debt's really about 5.3%. We continue to enjoy a very strong bond rating, AA+. I'd like to get to AAA at some point, but there's only a handful of communities that have a higher rating than we have across the Commonwealth. And as the recent Standard & Poor's report indicated, we've got strong budgetary performance, strong budgetary flexibility, and that lower overall debt. This next slide shows if this includes all of the items that this body has voted on, the debt going forward. You can see we have the capacity. I said many years ago before this body that, the goal is to have kind of a flat line, not to have these spikes. There's no question that we need to continue to invest back into the community, whether it's flood control, whether it's public buildings, whether it's seawalls, or our parks. And we'll continue to do that and stay within that ratio that we've talked about. So we do have plenty of room for capacity going forward. Next slide speaks about our revenue. And for those folks at home, the property tax is that. It's all taxes collected from the levy from the property tax. The local receipts is a number that is generated by all of the funds we collect through excise tax, through building permit fees, through birth certificates, and all those other minor fees that may pay into departments. And then the state aid number, 16%, which has been kind of almost level funded. We've had some increases, but the state continues to have some challenges with their revenues as well. So that makes up the total revenue package. So the total levying average percent last 5 years has been 3%. I think that's a pretty good number. Our residential bills, and I know I hear from folks that, let's face it, nobody likes to pay taxes, and everybody wants all the services. We got to try to meet in the middle there. But when you look at us and compare us to other communities right around us, our increases are a little less than our neighbors in Braintree and Weymouth, and we're certainly less than the state average. Again, we're looking at a conservative budget, but our new growth numbers are looking pretty good, and it helps us. And what's been a challenge over the last probably 4 to 6 years has been the continually uptick in the value of the residential properties. And the commercial properties have been stagnant. We're seeing now a great movement in commercial property. And there's a lot of examples of that, but I'll give you a couple. One is down in North Quincy. There's 2 buildings there that were purchased by the Campanelli companies that were vacant. And those companies, I'm sure those buildings are now filled with companies, and one of those buildings has been sold for a pretty hefty sum recently. And so we're seeing a great uptick in the commercial growth. What does that mean? That means now when we go to set the tax rate this fall, instead of that crazy residential number carrying the levy, we have the commercial going up, maybe not at the same rate, but enough that it carries the burden so that the residential doesn't carry the entire burden. So, in the earlier years, I made estimates here of what the tax rate may look like in the fall. The values are getting a little crazy the last couple of years, and I a little hesitated to do that because, as you know, there's so many pieces to it. It's a complex formula. But I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that this budget would result in a tax increase on the average single family somewhere between $100 and $150, which is a good place to be for what we've seen over the last several years. And keep in mind, and I say this again to the public, this is our main source of revenue to run local government. And local government is where the rubber hits the road, literally. Uncle Sam takes that income tax right out of you automatically for you. The state does the same. Property tax, you have to write a check. People think about it, and I certainly am cognizant of that. But I also suggest there's no community in this state that provides the services that we do here, whether it's seniors, whether it's kids, whether it's libraries, parks, you name it, veterans. We do it well. And this budget reflects those values and will certainly fund those values. The next slide, this is another term very few people understand out there in the public, but excess levy capacity essentially means we could be taxing more today. We don't go to the levy limit. We've left, I think since I've been mayor, about $150 million on the table with the levy limit. And if you look at the chart here, I think there's only 3 cities in the whole Commonwealth of Massachusetts that have a higher levy capacity than we do. And that's a good thing to have, by the way. If there was an emergency, a catastrophe, or something we had to deal with, we would be able to do that without dealing with a 2.5 override. You see Marshfield, I just read in the paper, Marshfield had an override just to fix a roof at a school. That's how tight they are with the levy capacity. And that's true of most communities. We're in our 3rd school without talking about 2.5. We've had schools built in the South Shore that towns and cities had to pass an override just to build one school. So the work we're doing here is good work with good results for the residents of the city. So with that, I want to close. I'll take any questions, of course, and certainly our department heads will be available, obviously not only in Finance Committee, but at any time in between. I'm available anytime for a phone call or a meeting. I'm proud of where we've come as a city. I thank this body for the work that you do on behalf of the residents, and I look forward to a successful budget season. Thank you for your attention, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. At this time, I'd recognize Councillor Croall, Chairman of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. Just make a motion to refer this to Finance Committee, and then we'll work out the scheduling, which I know many folks are already aware of, for the upcoming budget hearing. So, thank you.
All right. So, motion to refer appropriation order 2017-61 to Finance. All those in favor? Aye. All right. The ayes have it. Councillor, I believe we have to do each appropriation separately.
So, Councillor 2017-062, also make a motion to move that to Finance as well.
Motion to refer to Finance. All those in favor? Aye. Great.
And finally, Councillor 2017-063, also make a motion to move that to Finance as well.
Motion to move to Finance. All those in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. We'll take a brief moment. And we are back on the record. Madam Clerk, if you would read the next agenda item, please.
Yes, number 4, 2017-064, an appropriation of $338,290.86 for police superior officers, fire alarm union, department head, and managed line salary increases.
Thank you. Councillor Croall.
Thank you, Madam President. This was a matter we took up at the last budget season, and the funding of the money sat in the reserve for appropriation account. I don't know if Madam Auditor has any more context you'd like to elaborate on, but that's essentially the backdrop there.
Madam Auditor.
Probably at the time of last year's budget, there was money that was appropriated and put into the reserve. That reserve, as the unions have settled, we have taken, the council has taken a vote to move the money out of the reserve into the lines of those particular unions that had settled. Currently, the police officers, the superior officers have settled. We have the fire alarm union and department head raises along with management lines at this time.
Thank you, Madam Auditor.
I mean, with that,
Councillor Croall.
I move approval.
Motion to approve by Councillor Croall, seconded by Councillor DeBona on the motion. Councillor Palmucci.
If I may, through you to the mayor's representative, where does this leave us with outstanding? Is there anyone outstanding?
Through you, Madam President, the Patrol Officers Union remains unresolved. This group came forward with the appropriation for everything else because patrol officers are going to arbitration, and that will be settled outside of the city's control at this point. So we felt that that was an appropriate time to bring in the remainder of the reserve for appropriation.
What's the timeline on that process?
It's a state-run process, Councilor. It could be months. I don't have an exact timeline on that.
Okay. And I suppose at some other point we'll talk a little bit about, perhaps through the budgeting process, about funding potential monies.
Yeah, through you again.
Again, Boston's arbitration didn't go so well with the fire department.
Yeah.
A couple of years.
Madam President, through you.
Unexpected.
It certainly could be, and that's that's the balance that when you take an issue to arbitration, but arbitrations are mutually binding. They involve both parties. The city has been, I don't want to get into too many details, but we have been relatively successful. And I want to point out that there's not much animus in terms of the negotiations here. There's not a lot of ill will. The two sides just came to the conclusion that an arbitrator would be best served to handle this issue. All of the unions that have agreed to settlements in the city have agreed to the same wage increases, and that is essentially what is on the table with the police officers. And again, we certainly don't want to infringe on their right to seek an arbitrator to assist in the process, but we feel fairly confident in our position through the work of the Human Resources Department. So we've been through this process before. We'll be through it again with other issues, and it's something we feel pretty comfortable with.
Okay, I certainly, people's livings in the union leadership has to do with is best for their members, taking to arbitration if that's what they deem is necessary. I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure that we know what a potential liability is down the road, given what we've seen happen in the past with other municipalities where it is one very large, cumbersome, difficult check to swallow that has to be paid out retroactively.
Sure, Councilor, through you again, Madam President. Just quickly, I think that there are some larger issues at play in the city of Boston than we have here in the city of Quincy. Essentially, our issues are this contract only. I could be wrong, but my sense is that the city of Boston was dealing with some long-term, fairly complicated issues over the course of a very long period of time. This is one contract. I think theirs went back perhaps years in Boston. So I think there might be a little bit of a difference. Again, I don't want to speak out of school. I don't know all the facts of that case, but I think we might be a little bit different.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so there's a motion to approve, seconded by Councillor DeBona. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Councillor Kane. Councillor Croall. Yes. Councillor DeBona. Yes. Councillor Finn. Yes. Councillor Harris. Yes. Councillor LaForest. Yes. Councillor Liang. Yes. Councillor Palmucci. Yes. President Hughes.
Yes.
8 members. That passes.
Great. Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is 5, 2017-065, an appropriation for $68,170 from Hotel Motel tax for 2017 tourism program.
Councillor Croall.
Thank you, Madam President. We make a motion to refer this to committee. I don't know if Mr. Walker had anything on that, but I know we'll take it up in committee. You're welcome to chime in as
All right, so there's a motion to refer to finance by Councillor Croall, seconded. Isn't he a second? Motion to refer?
No.
No. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Great. The ayes have it. Thank you, Councillor Harris. Next item, so that will be referred to finance.
That's right. Next item on the agenda is number 6, 2017-066, a gift for $1,650 from various donors for DEAR program.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Croall.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we accept the gift, and Nicole, if you could, please just make sure that the donors are recognized with a letter of gratitude. So,
all right. Motion to accept by Councillor Croall, seconded by Councillor Finn. On the motion, Madam Clerk, if you call the roll.
Councillor Kane.
Yes.
Councillor Croall.
Yes.
Councillor DeBona.
Yes.
Councillor Finn.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor LaFarge. Councillor Liang. Councillor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members. And number 7 on the agenda, 2017-067, a resolve requesting for the administration to explore utilization of electric vehicles. Councillor Finn.
Councillor Finn.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, this is a resolution that in many respects emerges itself from the people, from the citizenry. This is actually a resolution that was put together with the Quincy Climate Action Network. And again, what they've been doing is they've actually been meeting with the councilors at large. I do believe they plan to meet with all the councilors, but this specific resolution that they had put together seemed to me to be a perfect thing that could easily be forwarded as a resolution, because it looks at the feasibility specifically of the utilization of electric vehicles. And if we could, with the unanimous consent of the body, perhaps we have with us here this evening, we have David Wright from the Quincy Climate Action Network. We also have with us as well former Ward 3 City Councilor Larry Cretion, who is today the Executive Director of the Mass Energy Consumers Alliance. And I thought if we could have a moment, perhaps they could come forward and talk a little bit about this resolution, why they put it forward, and why they think it's critically important.
All right. So if there is no objection, all right. Very well. We welcome the members from the Quincy Climate Action Committee to the podium.
And Larry.
I want to thank the councilors for giving me a chance to share my views tonight. I'm speaking as the board chair of Quincy Climate Action Network. We're a volunteer group that's working to increase the use of clean energy and energy efficiency in our city as a way of mitigating climate change. It's January, at our first membership meeting of the year, we experienced something unexpected. Lots of new faces in the room, and most of the people who dropped in that night ended up joining. Got a few of us here in the second row tonight. This is great for us, of course, but I started to wonder why the surge of interest. I think the answer is pretty clear. People have decided that with the federal government in retreat from the battle against climate change, we have to do more locally. The resolution that's being introduced tonight deals with one of the many things we can do, and QCAN wants to thank Councilors Finn, Liang, and DeBona for sponsoring it. Recently, QCAN has devoted some time to learning about electric vehicles, also known as EVs, and here's what we've discovered. First, if the city began using EVs, it would help us meet our obligations under the Green Communities Act. As a green community, the city has been getting a lot of grant money from the state, $250,000 in some years, for projects that increase our energy efficiency. In return, we've committed to reduce our energy use by 20% in the course of 5 years. I think the 5 years ran out last summer, and even when the LED streetlights go in, I think this summer, we're still going to be under 20% by QCAN's calculations. QCAN members have also been told that gasoline use by city vehicles has actually increased in the last year or two. So the city's fleet seems like low-hanging fruit if we're looking to squeeze more efficiency out of city operations. Second thing we learned is that getting EVs will more than pay for itself, given the generous state and federal incentives, plus the savings on fuel and maintenance. The state also provides grants of up to $10,000 for cities and towns to install electric vehicle charging stations. Run the numbers and you'll find out that even if we just junked our current fleet and left it to rust in the parking lot, we'd still come out ahead by using EVs. Because of the incentives, Weymouth is paying $500 a year for lease EVs. Bedford is paying between $600 and $960 a year for theirs. And EVs get the equivalent of 100 miles per gallon plus and require almost no maintenance. One thing I should mention here, just as a caution, is that this is something I just found out 2 hours ago in an email from Larry, which is that the state pool of money for the EV incentives from municipalities has temporarily run dry, but that in time more money is going to be added, so that this is something that the city can explore without wasting our time. Third point is that EVs will help reduce the pollutants in the air breathed by Quincy residents. As our friends in Frax have been pointing out, air quality is a problem here, especially in the warm part of the year because of vehicle traffic, industry, and heat islands. Fourthly, EVs, by reducing greenhouse gas emissions, will help slow climate change and thus sea level rise, which is already eating away at our coastline and flooding people's houses, resulting in significant economic loss to Quincy families. EVs and plug-in hybrids are the only type of vehicles going to produce less greenhouse gases as they age. That's because electric power is becoming greener year by year as more and more renewable power comes online. As wind farms are built off our coast in the next few years, this trend will only accelerate. Finally, I want to point out that getting EVs isn't a leap into the great unknowns. Many municipalities already use them, including our neighbors in Weymouth and Braintree. Bedford has a couple of dozen leased EVs in their fleet, and according to their energy manager, whom I spoke to on the phone last fall, they're very popular among the city staffers. To sum up, we at QCAN think this resolution is a no-brainer, and we think the mayor and his people will agree when they get a chance to look at the facts. We urge all city councilors to vote for it. And Larry Creasure, who's going to follow me, knows a lot more about the topic than I do, so you probably want to reserve your questions for him.
Thank you, Council President and members of the council. Larry Creasure, I live at 166 North Central Ave. If I had known that you don't have to wear a necktie anymore, I still might be a city councilor. I'm here in support of the resolution that was drafted by the friends at Quincy Climate Action Network, and I want to thank the councilors for sponsoring the resolution. About 5 years ago, I worked with Mr. Walker to help the city achieve Green Communities designation, and we wrote the energy use reduction plan for the city. And we knew it was going to be hard to reduce energy consumption by the amount that you need to. At the time, we looked at all the different options that were available, and included among that was buying more fuel-efficient gas-powered vehicles. At the time, there were electric cars, but not really of the quality or the cost that you would consider to put into a city's plan. Things have changed dramatically in the last 5 years. Electric vehicles are not of the future. They are ready today. I've had one since 2015. I drove there in a Chevrolet Volt that I plug in every night at home. That's a 2015 car. In 2 years, The Volt has been upgraded. It's a much better car than even the one I have, which I love. Now you can have a Nissan Leaf that's all electric. It's over 100 miles per charge. You can get a Chevrolet Bolt that gets 238 miles per charge. These are cars that are affordable for the middle class. Tesla, which typically has been selling cars at about $100,000, will be coming out with a car about $40,000 in a few months. So things have changed dramatically, basically because the cost of the lithium-ion batteries has absolutely plummeted in the last few years and is expected to continue to do that. And so every forward-looking jurisdiction in the world, countries, states, cities and towns who have climate goals are looking to electric cars, probably almost at the top of the list now. Saving energy makes perfect sense. Buying more renewable energy, whether it's wind, solar, or hydro, makes sense. But what's sort of left to the front now is shifting cars from gasoline to electricity for the reasons David said, which is that our grid's getting cleaner. And so a fun fact is a Chevrolet Toyota Prius, which is everyone considers to be a green car, right now produces 2.5 times more carbon dioxide than a Chevrolet Bolt running on electricity. And that's going to change as time goes by. The Bolt will have the advantage because, as David said, we keep adding renewable energy to the grid, making it cleaner. And so really there is no way for a city to achieve its climate goals without shifting as many cars as possible. Massachusetts, under Governor Baker, has a goal of having 300,000 electric cars in the state. Right now we have about 10,000. We have to increase that by 30 times by 2025. So a lot of work has to be done. And so a simple place to start is with the resolution that you have, which is saying that you're going to look at the city's fleet. You're generally thinking about passenger vehicles, I suppose, that you would buy as an electric car you could plug in. But you watch. Nowadays there are vans being retrofitted. There are trucks being retrofitted. Tesla's working on an electric semi. There are huge passenger ferries that are being powered by electricity all over the world now. There's a company in Boston called XL Hybrids that is adding electric capability to very large vehicles, trucks and vans and whatnot. So you can look at your whole portfolio of vehicles and you can start making them electric. A couple of reasons to do that is because you want to meet your city's obligation under the Green Communities Act. You want to lead by example. You really do need to show people throughout the city everyone's got a car, most families have two, that these cars work. And it's hard to get that point across if you're not leading by example. And so we think it would be a great thing if you could start showing off some cities' electric cars in the fleet. Also in the resolution is the idea of installing some charging stations, and that's a perfect idea as well. Most charging is done at home, but people, if they're going to come to City Hall for a 4-hour City Council meeting, it would be nice to plug in and be able to get some charge in the vehicle for that. It could be a business person coming into the city might want to look for a charging station. You're going to see millennials are the least likely folks to buy a car these days. So now there's a lot of car sharing and whatnot. More and more in a lot of communities that are growing, we're seeing the ability to have electric car sharing as well. And so you can, what you need in order to make that happen are public charging stations. And so you can find different places on public property and on private property to make that happen. So there's many, many things that progressive cities and towns are doing. Some studies have been done that show that when we move a large volume of cars from gasoline to electric, the economy gets better. And I think you all know the reasons. We import all of our gasoline, but with electricity we can make it right here in Massachusetts, and that improves the balance of payments for the state. And by extension, that would be good for the pocketbook for people in Quincy here. So lots of good reasons, and the resolution I just think is a good place to start. And I can answer questions, or David did as well. Yep.
Well, I would like to yield to Councillor DeBona at this point, who again, along with Councillor Leanne, co-sponsored the resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Finn, and thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that I'm honored to co-sponsor this with Councilor Finn and Councilor Yang on this resolution to look forward to getting less vehicles on the roads. If you talked a little bit about the car sharing, I really like that element of the millennials car sharing, one vehicle maybe to 10 people, and that would really be great. Be less vehicles on the road out there, and that's a new way of the selling point of their downtown redevelopment. Going into the next phase of this is thinking outside the box. How can we get less vehicles on the road, make it more green? With all the parks that we're doing in the open space in this city, we're trendsetters. I have to thank the Mayor Koch, for his vision on this city and what we're doing with transforming it, keeping the historical end of it, which is very important for the city, but also moving it forward economically. And this is just right down the alley. I want to thank everybody from QCAM being up here today. I very much enjoyed sitting down with you and learning about all the different things that you guys bring to the table as specialists in your field that you do. I really thank you for all your hard work that you do. With that, if I could, if I can, make a motion to refer this to the Environmental and Public Health Committee as being the Vice Chair.
All right.
Okay.
Councilor Finn.
Madam President, too, if I could add that a copy of this be sent to the Mayor.
To the Mayor. Yes, of course. So referral to, what did we say? Health and...
Environmental and Public Health.
Environmental and Public Health.
The chair of it.
Okay.
I'm the Vice
Councilor
Chair.
Harris?
Certainly, and it will still stay, and again, it will stay in your committee as we go back and ask the Mayor where we've had that.
Okay.
Again.
All right, so motion by Councilor Finn, seconded by Councilor Devona. Councilor Yang on the motion.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I just wanted to take a moment to thank Rick and David and all the members of QCAM. A lot of them aren't here tonight that we've met over the past year. I've personally been able to sit down with and learn a lot about sort of all the new technology that's out there that is allowing us to do what we can just as residents, as business owners here in the city to really make a difference locally, which hopefully will carry on through other cities and towns and then create a bigger impact overall. So you guys have been incredibly dedicated and have been, excuse the pun, leading the charge in the city to really inform, again, a lot of folks. I tried, okay? Just give me a minute here. Again, like Councilor Devona said, we're doing a lot in the city to ultimately improve the lives of everyone that lives here and calls this place home. And I think that what you guys are doing is a very important piece to that, to improving the health and the lives of the folks here in the city. It's important work. It's a lot of work to keep up with because there are all these things coming out every single day. And we have the information from you folks and the tireless efforts that you've made. So I just wanted to thank you for that. Thank you.
I just briefly had a thought that I just wanted to throw out there, and I support this. You guys do great work. Sometimes I think about what if Councilor McNamee was still here, what would he say? I'm having one of those moments where, yep.
Thank you, Councilor Gallucci, for that brief reality. Thank you. All right, so motion's on the table, seconded. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Councilor Kane. Councilor Croall. Councilor Devona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor LaForest.
Yes.
Councilor Liang. Councilor Palmucci. President Hughes.
Yes.
9 members.
Great. Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for coming in to the Quincy Climate Action Network and former Councilor Creation, and also Councilor Finn, a copy this will also be referred to the Mayor's office. So thank you. Madam Clerk, that ends our formal agenda for this evening. We will next go to the approval of the previous meeting minutes, and those are before you, the meeting minutes of April 18th. All those in favor? All those in favor say aye. Aye, great. The ayes have it. Meeting minutes are approved. Communications and reports from the Mayor of the city offices and city boards. Madam Clerk.
Yes, thank you. I have some new traffic requests refer to Ordinance Committee for Advertising, all in Ward 5. Install Do Not Enter Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. on Willow Ave, intersecting with Furnace Brook Parkway. Install Do Not Enter Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. on Anderson Road, intersecting with Furnace Brook Parkway. Install Do Not Enter Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. on Oakland Ave, intersecting with Furnace Brook Parkway. Install Do Not Enter Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. on Willow Ave, intersecting with Newport Ave. Install Do Not Enter Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. on Oakland Ave, intersecting with Newport Ave. These will be referred to Ordinance Committee for advertising. Thank you.
All right, refer to ordinance and for advertising. I just want to say, as the councilor who represents Ward 5, to those folks who are at home and watching and live in this neighborhood, that this is a trial period, that we are trying this to alleviate traffic issues and speeding issues in the neighborhood. So I know there's a lot of concern on George Road as well. We're going to address that this week. Just sit tight. Please give me your feedback. Let me know. We're going to reevaluate things at the nearer to the end of the summer and trying to decide what we're going to do in that neighborhood. Certainly not a fix-all. I want to thank Councilor Kane for joining in the effort. He represents half of one street in the neighborhood, so I want to thank him for his diligence and his patience, and for all the residents really of the neighborhood for their patience. It's been difficult, so thank everybody for that, me included, because I live right at the first Do Not Enter. So, all right. With that, we will go to unfinished business in the preceding meeting. Anyone? Anyone? No. Reports of committees. No. Presentation of petitions, memorials, or remonstrance. Anyone? Anyone? All right. At this time, I would like to. Oh, okay. It's right after you, so go ahead.
With sadness, we lost a couple of local legends this past week, including John Gillis, but one of our, in Ward 3, one of our neighbors from the Walsh and Montclair areas, Janet Crowley, who's the wife of Howie Crowley. Janet and Howie, were and institutions to the neighborhood. They're co-founders of the Montclair Walston Neighborhood Association, very active in Sacred Heart Parish. Howie remains active in Knights of Columbus, other organizations. Janet was a longtime board member from Ward 3 for QTAP, and put a lot of effort into that area also. She was part of the North Quincy Catholic Women's Club. She was adored by her husband. I attended the wake today, and Howie's a great guy. He was noticeably choked up, and, we as a community, for sure will be there for him. There were children, his grandchildren were there, very civic minded. She was a part of the Montclair Coat Club, girls softball and bowling, Montclair School PTA, past president of Fontbonne Academy Mothers Guild. She did it all. She was one of these people, just like John Gillis, who, you would have to live a lifetime in order to do even half of what they accomplished. So on behalf of the City Council, just want to send our love and prayers to the Crowley family. Thank you.
Madam President, with the consent of the body, I would like to raise a matter, if I could, of personal privilege. And the timing for this is really not the greatest, but it's actually unavoidable. What I mean by that is on an evening when we honor a person the likes of John Gillis, but there's really no good time for this. And again, after much thought and reflection about this, when I thought the best way of dealing with this is, we know nomination papers are coming out tomorrow, and I thought the best way to share this would be directly with my colleagues. So I'm announcing this evening that I will not seek nomination or re-election as a Quincy Councilor at Large in the November 2017 election. And I'm not seeking re-election both for personal and professional reasons. And as much as I believe in that old adage, never say never, and I do not exclude the possibility of running for public office at some future point, this evening I'm not excluding myself from re-election either for that reason nor to assume any other office. It'll be 16 years that I've served as a Quincy City Councilor at Large. I can think of no greater privilege or honor than it has been to serve in this position. My life has been influenced by the wonderful, generous, committed men and women I have had the honor to serve with. And my respect for all those who hold public office has grown immensely over this time. I've had the honor to serve with two mayors for whom, despite their doubts at times, I had tremendous respect for. I thank them both for what they've taught me about courage and commitment. My colleagues over the years on the City Council have made the deepest impression on me. To have the courage, the spirit of sacrifice, and the willingness week after week to be a decision maker committed to the people of this wonderful city takes far more than most will ever know. As I've said in the past, it's a great challenge to surrender the luxury of opinion for the reality of deciding. I thank all of you here for your service and commitment. I'd like to thank the auditor, the clerk, and the clerk of committees, and all the staff that make our jobs much easier, and say what an honor it has been to work with you. I hope, though, that I can learn to operate the tablet before December ends. I want most of all to thank all of those people who serve the city of Quincy that I've had the honor to work with. These are the folks that get up every day, go to work without notoriety or status, and keep the city moving, from department heads to public safety to our incredible school personnel to DPW and park laborers to the clerks to all those who've had to deal with my often annoying phone calls. Thank you. I know it's popular today to deride public service, but I can say firsthand you are an honor to the city and worthy of great praise. Finally, it goes without saying that my gratitude is with the many voters in Quincy who have voted and given me this great honor, and I hope I have lived up to your trust. And obviously, as well, I thank my wife and my family. My wife claims I never asked permission to run for office, but I did to leave. When I first sought office in 1999, I did so with the conviction that new voices had to be heard. When I first won office in 2001, I never intended to stay as long as I did. It seems fitting at this point to know that I'm returning to that fundamental principle that led me to pursue election. Our electoral process is the way for new voices to be heard, and I encourage anyone who feels called to seek public office to go for it. As Jim Sheets used to say, if you have that fire in your belly, go for it. I honestly can say at this point, I can think of no greater, no nobler calling or service to your community to both seek election and serve the great people of Quincy. And I do want to note, as always, a very important person in my life who actually made it possible for me to be in this office through his hard work. And he's here in the gallery this evening, as supportive as he's always been, and that's Michael Berry. And Michael, thank you. And I think you and I both are going to have to come up with a new way to lose weight without this. But finally, let me say I'm committed to serving out what remains of my term with great vigor. I will continue to uphold the sworn responsibilities of this office for as long as I serve. And thank you all very much. Yeah, I'm glad to have it. Thank you all. Seriously, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Penn, and we will obviously miss you. And I want to commend you. It must have been difficult to do. I know nomination papers are coming out tomorrow, but it must have been a difficult thing for you to do today, particularly with the passing of John Gillis, and just thinking about all of that, and then coming and talking about it in your own way. And I know what an unassuming person you are. So we obviously wish you luck and happiness. You will be happy without Monday nights to tear you down. But at any rate, yes, you will. Yes, of course. All right. Well, thank you very much. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Okay, scheduling of committee meetings and public hearings. Councillor Croall.
Last budget, Joe.
Tears are in his eyes.
All right, folks, through sort of expression of the body in various capacities, I'm going to share the dates for the budget hearing, beginning with next Monday at 6:30 p.m. That would be May 8th. We'll have public hearing on the budget. Then we'll hear from Jim Powers, the city's outside auditor, external auditor. And then we'll go into our first session where we deliberate the budget that was proposed to us here this evening. A little bit different of an approach, and I know folks had, kind of conflicting schedules. So May 12th, that's a Friday, we'll be in the chamber for an 8:30 a.m. budget hearing, and you'll get all of these. And I'm asking Mr. Walker, who's been great to work with so far, to get us an agenda for May 8th by Wednesday. I think that's fairly reasonable. Wednesday, Thursday, the latest, so I can get that out to the group, and then subsequently we'll build out the agenda for Friday the 12th. But it seems as if that worked best for most folks, again, given the schedule. And I think it'll be nice to come in here with a fresh mind first thing in the morning and go through the budget. And for the folks listening or watching at home, that is, these meetings are open as well. But the public hearing for May 8th, then May 12th, the 8:30 a.m. kickoff. Madam President, May 15th, I believe, is the next council meeting. So we're working just a little time in the beginning to maybe, obviously, pending your discretion, but start the meeting at maybe 7:25, open up the Finance Committee meeting so we can continue to talk through the park improvement plan, go into the regular scheduled city council meeting, and then potentially, move forward with the park improvement plan later in that meeting. So that would be the 15th. Knowing that, we had a couple of dates already scheduled and that, again, we're going to be running pretty hot here, I kind of struck down the 17th, which was already kind of earmarked for a meeting, so we will not meet on the 17th for Finance Committee. I would just say put a placeholder in. It's already scheduled, but for the 24th for the Finance Committee meeting. So you probably already have that in your calendar, but just leave that standing, strike the 17th. So the 8th, the 12th, the 15th, and the 24th. Look forward to seeing you all. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If I could, is there anybody else that wants to schedule? Okay. I just wanted to try to fit this in Education 2017-40, which is the resolve that's called substance. Actually, it's called use hearings. They changed the word from abuse to use now, so it's not really it's just a term that. But I was looking to possibly. I know we're going into budget season. I know we've got a lot of other things going on with the CIP and the park, but I really want to fit this one meeting in before we get to the session. So, if I could, let me know June 5th. 6:30 before the other meeting. Does that look like something for? I think that works. 6:30. Yeah. Education is the substance use hearings, basically. We canceled it last time just to try to fit it in, and I think it's important. Is that good? Thank you very much.
Anyone else? All right, at this time, I'm going to motion to adjourn.